Hey guys, so yesterday you should have taken care of page 3 just to get you started on inequalities, looking at the different symbols, what gives us an open circle or a closed circle. If you have not done page 3 yet, go ahead and do that first. But now we're going to look on page 4. We're going to start solving those inequalities very much like we were solving the equations in our last 2 units. So it says to solve and graph each inequality, use the same steps as solving an equation, meaning use those opposite operations, right? So we're going sort of back to the beginning to sort of our basic equations. So if I have an x minus 12 greater than 65, I'm trying to get x by itself just like we were. So if it's a minus 12, the opposite operation is a plus 12. So x is now greater than 77. We are going to graph our answers on a number line. So whatever number you get, put that number in the middle of your number line and basically just count up to and down to. So 78 and 79 go up, 76 and 75 go down, and then we want to put at that 77 the appropriate circle. So because this is a greater than symbol, it's an open circle. If it has the or equal to bar underneath, it's closed. And then we want to shade the correct direction. So we want the numbers that are greater than 77. So that means we want 78, 79, and so on. So we shade to the right. You can use your inequality symbol almost like an arrow. Look at how this inequality symbol is sort of pointing to the right, pointing towards that 77. That can help you with shading, but that only works if your x is on the left-hand side. So be careful. When I look at number 2, 84 is less than 7x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. 84 divided by 7 gives me 12, less than x. So here's where we want to be careful. I have a 12, so I'm going to put that 12 in the middle of my number line. We're going to count up and down. And I can tell by looking at my symbol that I need an open circle. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. So I need an open circle at 12. There we go. The key here is making sure that we are graphing the correct direction. When I read this inequality, I actually want to read it from the letter x, meaning x is greater than 12. Or what you want to do is you want to write it in reverse. See how the open end faces the x and the little pointy end faces the 12? So the open end is still facing the x and the little pointy end is still facing the 12. See how this says x is now greater than 12? And so greater than means this should actually shade to the right. So this is what I mean when I said you can use that inequality kind of like an arrow that points, but you have to start with the letter x. So sometimes when your x ends on the wrong side, we kind of want to write it in reverse and just make sure the part of the symbol that faces the x and the part that faces the number is the same. So if I take that same idea then over to number 3, here I have a fraction. So a fraction means division, right? B divided by 10 is less than or equal to 5. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So B is less than or equal to 5 times 10 is 50. So again, our 50 is going to go in the middle. We count up and we count down. This time it's less than or equal to. So I'm actually going to fill in my circle because now 50 is part of the solution. Less than means I want all of the values here to the left that are smaller than 50. So again, same opposite operations we were using before. If you need more time with these 3 examples, go ahead and hit pause. If you're ready, then we're going to move on. There's one key fact that is super important when we are solving our inequalities. And that fact is that if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, the inequality symbol flips. I'm going to say that one more time. If you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, then the inequality symbol flips. And so this by a negative part is really important because it's not going to be just that you have a negative number somewhere. It's, are you writing that negative number on both sides to perform the operation? So when I look at a question like number 4, and I have 32 is greater than a negative 2y, and I want to solve it for y, well, I'm going to divide by negative 2. So first off, 32 divided by negative 2 is negative 16. My inequality symbol in the middle is going to flip and face the other direction because I am dividing by a negative. I wrote negative 2 on both sides. And then on the other side, I get y. So negative 16 is going to go in the middle of my number line. Be very careful when you're numbering in the negatives. In order to number it correctly, to the right, you're getting closer to 0. So that's your negative 15 and negative 14. And to the left, you're going down and you're actually getting more negative, right? Got to think of that whole number line and where the 0 is. So again, this is where it might help. If I have my y, the open end is facing the y. The little pointy end is facing the negative 16. So when I'm putting this on my graph, it is the open circle. But this is saying we want greater than negative 16, or you can think that the little arrow is pointing to the right. And so we want these numbers that are getting closer to 0 and maybe even turning positive. If I take the same approach to question 5, negative 6 is greater than 2/3 w. There's more than one way to handle the 2/3. You can divide by 2/3, but if you don't like fractions, I'm going to take care of this using whole numbers. Remember, a fraction is division, so the opposite of division is multiplication. So if I multiply both sides by 3, that's going to make the bottom of my fraction go away. So here's where we have to be careful. We are multiplying by a positive 3. The fact that the 6 is negative does not make my symbol flip because the 3 I wrote on both sides is positive. So this is negative 18 greater than 2w. Now I need to get w, so we're going to divide by 2. So again, I am writing divide by a positive 2. So we are not going to flip the symbol. We're going to get negative 9, and we're going to get w. So again, the negative 9 goes in the middle. Be careful as you number up and down with those negatives. Again, my w's on the other side, so I'm just going to sort of write it in reverse. Pointed end faces w, open end faces my negative 9. W is less than negative 9, so open circle at negative 9. Less than means we are shading to the left. Okay. So, 2 very important things. 1, now that we put some negative numbers on our number line, make sure we number those correctly each time. But 2, if you are deciding whether or not to flip your symbol, ask yourself, what did you multiply or divide by? What did you write on both sides? Is that a positive number like we did on number 5? Or is that a negative number like number 4 where that symbol in the middle does need to flip? I'm asking that you complete the remaining questions on page 4. So if you need more time here with questions 4 and 5, obviously hit pause. Otherwise, you want to finish page 4 and you want to upload those questions to Canvas for your credit. Have a great day, guys.